The Magic Rose of Love. On the edge of a city fashioned from crystal and silence, Linos lived in isolation within his glass greenhouse. While others traded in gold and information, he tended to flowers that possessed no scent, waiting for something he could not yet name. His garden was an architectural marvel, but its walls were cold to the touch. Linos had a singular purpose: to cultivate the legendary Rose of Love. It was no ordinary blossom. To bloom, it required neither water nor sunlight, but genuine fragments of its grower's soul. Every day, Linos stood over an empty vase, searching within himself for the right intention. To breathe life into the rose, Linos began to offer it his most precious memories. He would close his eyes and allow a soft glow of light to emerge from his chest, his mother's laughter, the warmth of an old friendship. The rose began to take shape, yet it remained pale and translucent, like a ghost. One afternoon, a woman named Melanthe stopped outside the glass gate. She had traveled from afar, carrying only her curiosity and a weathered notebook. She did not seek riches. She sought the kind of beauty that is said to sting before it finally heals. Linos opened the gate, and the two of them stood in a long, heavy silence. Through the glass, the world appeared distorted, but between them, there was a sudden, piercing clarity. Melanthe noticed the pale rose and sensed the void its creation had carved into Linos's heart. "Why do you give it only your joy?" Melanthe asked, her fingers grazing the cold petals. "Love is not just the light we choose to remember. It is also the darkness we are brave enough to share." Linos looked at her, startled. He had been taught that only perfection was worthy of being offered, but Melanthe saw perfection in the truth. Linos confessed his fear. If he surrendered his sorrow, if he bared his vulnerability, what would remain of him? Melanthe reached out and took his hand. Her warmth was different from the ethereal energy of his memories. It was a warmth that grounded him, a quiet assurance of presence. Then, Melanthe did something unexpected. She deliberately pressed her thumb against one of the rose's sharp thorns. A drop of her own experience, a moment of grief transformed into wisdom, trickled onto the stem. The rose did not recoil. Instead, it began to pulse with a deep crimson rhythm. Linos understood then. He did not have to be the sole sacrificer. He reached out his own hand and touched the blossom alongside her. Love was not an individual conquest, but a shared destiny. The rose bloomed suddenly and fully, filling the greenhouse with a scent that evoked the smell of rain on parched earth and warm, fresh bread. As the rose reached its full bloom, the glass walls of the greenhouse began to crack and shatter, not from violence, but from the need to make room for the infinite. Linos and Melanthe stepped out into the real world, carrying the magic rose between them, ready to live a life that was no longer transparent, but true.